Hello, this is the Casual Author Podcast. I'm Dan Kenner, sci-fi and fantasy author. I've got a few things on my plate, as do you, and I want to help you be productive and have a positive mindset as you navigate your passion for writing while managing life's expectations. For more information about the podcast or to access my free guide, How to Have the Most Stellar Writing Sessions, head to thecasualauthor.com. Let's dive in. Hey there, it's Dan Kenner with another episode of The Casual Author. Today is Friday, December 5th, 2025, as I record this. This is episode number 158 of the podcast. Today it's another solo episode. Like I said, I'm trying to get everything up and running in terms of having interviews. I hope you enjoyed the conversation with Charles Hack last week. I know that I definitely learned a lot from him and was very inspired by his approach to being productive. Today, I want to talk about being authentic and how that lends more success to an author business and, just success in connecting with audience members and helping people understand who you are. So we'll dive into that topic in just a minute. But of course, I want to go into the updates and talk a little bit more about what's going on today on the Homestead. So pretty much everything is taking a turn into the cold. I've talked about this for months now, how we try to prepare for the cold. We really had our first hard freeze just a few days ago. And there's always some interesting surprises that come up when the freeze hits. Some things you plan for and some things you don't. The one thing in particular we did not plan for was just how destructive pigs can be when things freeze. So, we've known for a while, pigs are very busy. They're digging everywhere. That's not new, but they're very hard on things. Like the feeders that I made for them, they hit around, they knock around with their noses. They're really rough on them. Cows aren't as much, right? They just eat, they leave things alone. But pigs, no, they will butt it around. They'll fight with each other a little bit. I had to secure the feeders to the fence because otherwise they flip them over and stomp on them and they can break them actually pretty quickly. So they've lasted a while. Their water, on the other hand, they've been pretty rough with, but it's been sturdy enough. Well, that's not true when things freeze. So what happened was the water froze, which is to be expected. We didn't have the right equipment to keep it from unfreezing. There's a long story there that I won't go into. We just got the new equipment today, so that'll keep it from freezing going forward. But what happened was the water froze. And because they're so rough on the little metal nipples that expel the water rather, into their mouths, they were tugging on it and yanking on it and being so rough on it and headbutting it that because it froze, it actually broke part of the metal. So the way it works is there's the little nipple and then it's got the piece that holds it in with a spring. They essentially broke out the spring action piece that held the water in, and so the water just drained. This 20-gallon drum of water just drained everywhere, which then froze. So now there's an ice lake in their pen. I couldn't get it fixed because we had a replacement, but everything's so frozen that it's in the process of thawing still so that I can take off the mechanism and replace it with a new nipple. But the problem that I have is even replacing it isn't going to fix it because I suspect they're just going to do it again. So we're kind of back to the drawing board on getting pigs water. Currently, I'm just giving them a trough full of water that they promptly knock over, but they'll get a pretty good drink before they end up knocking it over. It just means I have to regularly fill it up multiple times a day, which I don't love, but at least they have water. That's what they need today. We'll get a better situation, and then we'll go from there. But one thing that we do know about the cold that is one of the least glamorous things about having a milk cow is when it starts to get cold, the cows will actually lay in their manure to stay warm. Now, this isn't a necessity. It's just something they do. They have enough fur. They've got enough fat. Health-wise, they can stay warm. Also, these animals, if you didn't know, the more they eat, the internal heat of digesting food keeps them warm. So they tend to eat more. When it gets colder, they'll just consume more hay. So as long as we're feeding them enough, they'll stay warm. But Lucy, our milk cow, has begun laying in her manure because obviously it's warm for a while. once they get it out of their system, it's warm, and so they lay in it to feel that warmth. Now, as you can imagine, when you're hand milking a cow and they're laying in their manure, that's not a fun mess to clean up to make sure that your milk is clean and safe. So I won't go into details, but that's what we're dealing with now that it's turned down to the cold weather. There's not a lot you can do other than try to keep their house clean and dry, which I do every single day. My sons and I will go shovel everything out, put down nice, clean, fresh, dry bedding for them, but it gets messed up pretty quick. I mean, these cows are eating, 30, 40 pounds of feed a day, and obviously that has to come out. So there's a lot to deal with. So we try and keep on top of it, but that's all right. It's one of those things where we accept the least glamorous pieces of the homestead in favor of the food that we get out of it, right? We really appreciate the fresh milk, being able to make cheese and butter and whipped cream and ice cream from all this fresh milk and cream. So, it's one of those things you're just like, you know what, this isn't great, but we've made this decision and we're fine committing to it despite the challenges, such as them laying in their manure. So there's that. Chickens, I will say, I'm thrilled to say the chickens are actually the least trouble so far. In years past, I couldn't say that was always true, but the chickens are great. They survive the cold. They're happy as can be as long as they're out of the wind and cold, which they've got a nice secure spot. They're great. Their water did freeze over. We had it's like a plug-in water with these small little buttons that they peck for the water to come out, and then they drink it. It broke, unfortunately, because they don't last very long. I mean, the heating elements really get taxed when it gets really cold. In Idaho Falls, it gets really cold. So it's okay. We knew we had to replace it. We got the new one today, and I think now that they'll be easier to manage the chickens. But up until now, we've had to replace their water because that hard freeze just destroyed the unfreeze-proof bucket that we were using. There's that. That's the homestead life for you. Other than that, really just the cold. The cold is here. Going out every morning and every night to milk and manage animals. Every day we're out there on Thanksgiving. We'll be out there on Christmas Eve. It's non-negotiable. So I think the one advantage that I really appreciate is our kids learning to work. They are really hard workers, and it took them a while to really reach that point. For a year or more, when they started getting involved, they complain. They don't want to do it. I can't get mad at them because, let's be honest, I don't always want to do it. But it's just, it's a lesson to learn that you just do it. We've committed to this, and we're happy. Here's the positive aspects of this situation we've put ourselves in. And they've really come around. I'm proud of them, and they're doing really well. And even though we have some off days, I appreciate that for the most part. They just dig in and do their work. So it's great to see it. And I love to work alongside them. It gives us an opportunity to chat. They tell me stories. We just have some good laughs while we're out working together. It's always good to be busy together. And so I definitely appreciate that. So on the kid front, most things kind of the same. We're doing archery. The archery competitions are right around the corner. We'll be driving down to Utah for some archery competitions in the beginning of the year, and I know the kids are really excited about that, so gearing up for that. I believe that's everything in terms of homestead family life, kind of just doing what we can, dealing with the cold. In terms of authoring, I will say that with the holidays and with some sickness going around, the kids did get sick over the last week. As you can imagine, when you have a family of 9, it takes a bit of time for it to go through everyone. Starts with one person, spreads to 2 more, spreads to another 2, spreads to 1. So we're still working it out of our systems. A couple of the kids are still sick. I don't really get super sick. That's a miracle. I don't really explain why. I wouldn't say I'm maybe the most healthy person, but for some reason my immune system keeps me from getting sick. So grateful for that. But the extra care intending for, the kids and my wife as she's gone sick, just being tired overall. It's meant I haven't done a lot of writing. So full transparency, kind of put a pause on writing Siren Blooded, which is the 6th book of the Hidden Heritage series. I still have a lot of ideas. It's not writer's block. That's not the issue. It's just, the time, the hit of the sickness kind of stopped me up. So I'm really hoping to get back into that soon. In terms of the short story, so the December short story which is actually called The Spellbound Stacks, is actually out now. So if you go to Ream Stories, to my Ream page, Ream Stories /Dan Kenner, reamstories.com/Dan Kenner, then you'll be able to see that. So just for a couple dollars a month, you can get access to not only a short story every month that I publish. It's a discovery written short story. I never know where they're going to take me, but you also get chapters for the upcoming book. So right now I am publishing chapters for the fourth book, which is Fairy Blooded. So the fourth book of the Hidden Heritage series. We're about halfway through the reveal of those chapters. So it's really great value, especially if you want very early access to these books. This next book won't be out for probably another 6 months. So you'll be able to have the whole book, and you'll actually get access to all of the previously published chapters. So hint, hint, wink, wink. If you want to read Hidden Heritage, now's a good time to get in, because I've actually published the early chapters for all those books, and they're still available. So there's a lot of good reading to be done. But the Spellbound Stacks, the story this week, or this month rather, I'll read the description for it so you can get a sense of what it's like. So it says, Inez thought working at a bookstore would be simple. Until the shelves rearranged themselves, her boss disappeared, and a goblin crawled out of a book. Now trapped inside a labyrinth of enchanted aisles, Inez must outsmart magical creatures, survive a maze that changes with every turn, and uncover the truth the shopkeeper has kept hidden for years. With only a silver letter opener and a stubborn streak, she ventures deeper into the heart of a bookstore where stories come alive, and not all of them are friendly. So, yeah, it's a little bit of like a cozy fantasy. There's some suspense. It's almost like a fantasy thriller, but I think I really enjoy it. I enjoyed writing it. It definitely took a turn I was not expecting. Had a blast with it, but once again, you can access that on my Ream page. Ultimately, I intend on gathering up all of these short stories and compiling them into a collection or multiple collections. At this point, I think I have 15 to 20 short stories that I've written and can be compiled into 2 or 3 volumes of collections. So that's ultimately the plan. I'll commission art for it. I'll, obviously get a cover made. These are things I can't do myself, that's for sure. But that's the ultimate plan. For now, they're just in my Ream. They're there for you to enjoy, and your support is appreciated as well. I really appreciate the patrons that I do have already, the Ream supporters, those who read it and give me feedback. I appreciate you, so thank you for that. But yeah, that's out this month. Updates on other books. I'm finally finished up all of the files for the third book, which is Dwarf Blooded. Still behind on publishing that one. It's one of those things where life just kind of caught up with me. Finalize the files. My wife's going to be doing some extra checking to make sure that I've got the colors right. I'm colorblind, so as a reminder, that means when I'm designing my own covers, there's implications there. Once that's all reviewed, then it will be published. So hopefully in the next, I say 2 to 3 weeks, I'll be pushing that publish button. That's the hope, at least. So that's, I think, everything on the author front as of today. So just shifting over to the perspective of being authentic. So, I won't go definitionally into what that means. I think it's in essence what you decide it is. Authenticity is being you. It's being realistic within your personality and around other people. I think that really comes a lot into play with our writing, with the way we present ourselves, the way we sell our books, the way we talk about our books, the way we're on social media. And, it's obvious. It's really clear when people see you from the outside and get a sense of whether or not you're being authentic. That's, it can be an inhibitor for your ability to succeed and be able to sell books, make connections, meet other readers and authors. So I think there's a tendency for particularly newer authors to conform to something else when they get into the business. So if you're listening to this and you're a new author, you've just started writing, and you're kind of feeling like, I don't really know what my place is, you're probably going to feel the temptation to do what other people are doing on social media. And I will say I've done that. I have full on done that. I have joined Instagram years ago when I first published, kind of frantically, because I had already published my book and realized I have no way to give this to people. I saw what other people were doing. I tried to post like them. I tried to create descriptions like them. I tried to create video content like them when Reels came out. And, I followed certain people just because I thought follower count is more important than me being myself. And I kind of created a mess for myself, to be honest with you. in being inauthentic, not standing up and being like, this is who I am. These are the types of books I write. These are the types of books I read. These are the types of content that I do and do not enjoy. Not from like a judgmental perspective, but just showing people who I am. I ended up following a bunch of people that I don't actually resonate with. Their content they write is not aligned with what I'm seeking. It's not what I read. It's not what I write. And it's just been challenging, right? Because now I have to unravel that and be like, all right, I need to get back to myself, to my authentic self. So why this is important, right? From a couple factors. If you really want to truly present what you're writing and be authentic, I would say even while you're writing, being true to the authenticity will help you stay within that lane. Now, let me clarify what I mean by that. When you're sitting down to write, you're making the decision in that moment where your story is going to go. Even if you plot or if you discover you're right, wherever you are, when you actually get down to the writing piece of it, that's where you decide in that moment, how am I going to take this? What content am I going to write? And I've just noticed in myself and in other people, when you aren't authentic to yourself and recognizing like, this is where I want to go, sometimes things get introduced into your writing that maybe don't align with your messaging. And vice versa. Maybe your messaging when you're selling or when you're talking to other people about your book feels awkward. You know, someone asks you, hey, Dan, what's your book about? It's so much easier if you're being authentic to be like, this is what it's about. Cheesy or not, like, well, this is what it is. This is face value, what I'm writing, why I'm writing it. People can sense that. And if you ever sense that awkward feeling when you're talking about your book, I think in part, some of that comes from not feeling like we can be authentic with what we're writing. Because what's worse, right? You being inauthentic and selling something to someone who then buys it and finds out, wait, this is not what they said it was, right? Versus being authentic and explaining it to someone, they say, that's great, that's interesting, I'm not interested in that content, thank you, and then walking away. Personally, I think the latter is less bad because at least expectations are correct. And as we're selling and being authentic, people can sense that and they get what they buy pretty much. And also it helps us feel grounded our decision to write that type of content. So on the one end, the why is it can keep you writing the way you want to be writing, the content you want to be writing without the influence of too many outside forces. But on the flip side, you're also selling to the right people. You're finding the right audience. I think in an effort sometimes to just sell as much as we can, sometimes we are selling to the wrong audience. And that can be bad for everyone. I think in terms of success, of course, as an author, you have to decide authentically what success looks like to you. Is success publishing that book, finding a few readers, and having them be fans of you? Or is the success making a certain revenue goal, selling a certain amount, making a certain amount of money? There's no right answer here, right? As long as it's what resonates with you, that's your goal, and you stick with it, then you'll find that your progress will work better than if you're kind of fighting against your authenticity. So I'll give another example of this. I keep stepping back to this. This isn't news. If you've been listening to the podcast for a while, I've already explained to you how social media is a challenge for me. It has nothing to do with the people who are posting their content. It has everything to do with me posting my content. So I am the type of person who can really feel a great connection in one-on-one or one to multiple, like 2 or 3 people, small group connections. Once it opens up bigger than that, I'm introverted. Like I hide. I can't be myself because I feel uncomfortable. Social media to me is like standing on a stage and presenting a false version of myself in front of a crowd. Now, I know it doesn't have to be that way. Some of you may be listening and thinking like, Dan, you don't have to. You can be yourself on social media. While that may be true, personally, I struggle to be myself. I think it's my own mental blocker. As many times as I try to be authentic, 2 things come into play. One, just the sheer minute details in editing the videos and editing the posts and the words. It feels like a job to me because I can't always it's easier for me to verbally explain who I am and present myself when it's a small group I'm working with. But when I have to do all the editing and the hooks and all the interesting things to try to make the video exciting, I lose myself in that. And so it just feels weird. I come off weird. So if you were to go to my social media today, like go to my TikTok, watch some of the videos, and tell me, do I sound the same there as I do on this podcast? And if it's the same, I'll be shocked. There's no way it is. I'm very different. I present differently. I get that it's short form versus long form, but I think really it comes down to that ability to be authentic and real. Podcasting is so much easier for me. Having conversations even with Charles Hack, with any of my past interviews, it's just so much easier to really feel grounded and meet great people and learn great things about other people, because that is the mode and method that works for me. So in this case, for me, the why I want to explain, anything you do, if it isn't rooted in your authenticity, it's not worth trying to force yourself into that method. Now, I know that might be hard to swallow, and if you disagree, please let me know. That's fine. I think as much as we try to force something to feel authentic, I don't know if we'll ever get there. It probably will deter you from making progress within that method. Does that mean I'm going to stop social media? Probably not. Like, I'll still throw things up here and there, fully expecting that inauthenticity to be apparent. Some people may be off-put by it, but I won't discount the free marketing of social media. But what I am saying is I'm not going to pull my whole heart into social media. I'm not going to pour myself into it. I will leverage it when there are needs that I have in terms of just like getting out there and sharing details about what I'm doing. But I am pouring myself into this podcast, and that's why I'm still here. That's why I'm still doing these solo episodes. So I appreciate you coming along with me. Even if I can't sell an exorbitant number of books from this podcast, someday I might be able to. For me, it's the right method. It's the authentic way that I can reach an audience. I can figure out the business piece. I can figure out the SEO pieces later over time. Previously, I was somewhat frustrated with kind of the slow movement of podcasting. Right? I have a lot of episodes, and I appreciate the audience that's here. I'm so grateful for you. And I have had moments where I'm just like, is this worth it? And now that I'm back here, it is worth it. It is worth it even if I have 2 listeners, because to me, this is an opportunity for me to share, give back to you, to give tips and tricks, to share about what's going on in my life, and also just kind of help out in the new author community. There's so many of us who are feel isolated, and this is an opportunity for us to feel like, hey, I'm not the only one experiencing this. I'm not the only one who is questioning my social media strategy or feeling like I need to do what other people are doing. So hopefully you're finding that and you enjoy listening to the podcast. But this is going to be a slightly shorter episode. I will say that this week has been a little bit crazy, and there's definitely lots on the to-do list. But I appreciate you for listening. If you'd like to join me for the podcast, head to thecasualauthor.com. There is a pitch form. I'm looking for people who are aspiring authors, whether or not you're published, you're writing, but your life is just there and it might feel like it's getting in the way. I'd love to talk to you about what you do, how you manage that, what tools you use, or just strategies you employ. This is the reason it's called The Casual Author is because we are casual authors because we have to be. That's the way I like to say it, right? It's also casual in terms of sentiment, but also I'm not a casual author necessarily because I decided to be. It's just I've got a life that I've decided. I've chosen these things. I'm happy with them, and it lends to me being a casual author because I'm still passionate about it. So join me at casualauthor.com. If you have feedback, or I'd love to hear comments, comment on the videos. I'd love to hear what you have to say. If you could share with your friends and family or people that you know are aspiring or new authors, let them know about the podcast. Would love to start getting them involved with making this a great community and a place where we can all kind of share what we're going through and how we can improve our ability to be busy/casual authors. So you can email me at dan@thecasualauthor.com as well. Any comments or words you have to say. So thank you again for listening. I look forward to talking to you again next week, and I hope you have a great week. Bye.